The saga of the Trials Cub replica and its 3 speedometer clocks in less than the space of a year. Well, to begin with, when I started using this bike on the road again, probably around about a year or so ago, I put this speedometer on it, which was a bit scruffy looking, but it worked. And it also had provision to put a light in it, because I had a little speedometer lamp wired in and fitted, so that was all good. And for a while everything was good, and it always read a bit low. You'd have a job to see anything over 30 miles an hour out of it actually, but that wasn't the clock, that was down to the drive gearbox on the rear wheel. So I soon realised that and actually managed to find one with more suitable ratios and fitted that. And I got some pretty accurate speedo readings out of it, and as verified by the light up sign as you come down into the village from the Pimsaint direction. So when this showed 30, the light up sign also showed 30, so I knew I was pretty near the money. And everything was good for a while. I had a good record of my speed and my mileage, and everything was good. And after a little while it started to get a little bit skew-iff and shaky. So there, you can see it's doing that. It started wavering and the needle started fluctuating and wandering all over the place. So I decided that I had a tidier looking clock, because this one is a little bit battered, up in my spares, but it didn't have this for the lamp. So here it is. And I checked this one and it was all working, and I had to make this little thing up and solder it on so that I could push the lamp in. And we were back in business. Off we went again, and all was well in the world until the other day. On one of my rides you can actually hear, I can make it squeak, and it's very stiff as well. It started to play up, and then all of a sudden it reacted so violently the needle swung around the clock face and actually snapped off, and it's disappeared. It's in there somewhere. So that was the end of that, and I'd already made a note of the mileage on it because I'd not long changed the oil, and thought, great, I've got a reference for servicing now. Well, less than 100 miles after I changed the oil and serviced the bike, this stopped working. So I thought, well, I'll go and have a look and see if I can find anything else to replace it. And as luck would have it, there was no damage to the speedometer drive gearbox or the cable. So all I needed was another clock, which I got here. Bear with me. This one was one I had lying around, but when I put the square tapered end of the file in, which is, these are ideal actually for testing speedometers and rev counters because they're square and they're also tapered, so it's a pretty much one size fits all sort of thing. So this is a chainsaw file. I found that when I put the file into the input on the back of this clock, it was just locked solid. So I thought, oh well, that's no use to me. But I sprayed a bit of WD-40 up its bum and clamped the file in the jaws of the vise, brought the clock down on it, and alright, I was a little bit heavy-handed, but I swung the clock to and fro on it, and all of a sudden it all popped free and it seemed to work alright. So I fitted it, and I've been up and down the lane on it, and that works well. So for my own records as much as anything else, I've got, let me see, miles showing on the clock that through a wobbler are there. So now we pick up on the miles we see, hopefully, on this clock here. And I sort of roughly reckon that I've got about 100 miles on the oil change and the service already. So we go from there now. So we've got a working speedometer again. So that's 3 clocks in the space of about a year. The bike doesn't vibrate terribly. It's not too fast for the clocks, I really don't know. It's just, I suppose they've all been old clocks that I've dug out of boxes that I've had laying around with stuff in, so they're all a bit of an unknown. But fingers crossed, perhaps this one will last me a little while, who knows. The other thing I've done, since I fitted this battery, which is what fixed the bike in the first place from all that horrible snatching that it used to do that put me off using it for about 30 years, believe it or not. I thought, well, now I've got a source of electricity, whether the engine's running or not, rather than just relying on this, I've now got electric. I'll fit a horn. So here we go. I thought, great, that'll scare that dog off. I think we got 12 volts going into a 6-volt horn. I think that's why the pitch is so high and loud and squeaky. But no, it didn't scare the dog off, unfortunately. But at least I'll be able to beep and let people know I'm around, I guess. And this one can now go on the handlebars of the Royal Enfield 500 Green Laner, so that's got some sort of audible warning device. Not that you really need one with these old British bikes with all the noise they tend to make anyway. If you can't hear that coming, I don't think you're going to hear the horn. But that's where we're at now. Clock number 3. And let's see how many miles we can enjoy reading our speed and knowing how far we've travelled with that one. I'm reluctant to place any bets myself, but fingers crossed it might last for some time. Oh, and one more thing we've got with our battery powered lights and everything. We've got the light in the clock there. It comes on with the pilot light and the tail light. When I switch the headlamp on, that's dip beam. And when we go to full beam, look at that green light to tell us. We've got it all the mod cons on this one. Full beam, dip. Full beam, horn. Brilliant, we've got everything except an electric start and a sat nav, an ABS and traction control, all the other stuff that you don't really need. Incidentally, we have got traction control on this one, and there it is. Works a treat, I find. Anyway, enough of that waffle. That's where we are now with it, and hopefully we'll be starting 2024 in a couple of days with yet another speedometer that might actually sort of hold the fort and hang in there for a little while and let us know what the bike's doing and when it's time to change the oil again. Fingers crossed.